everyone, you're watching Dilemmas, and today we are making a tier list for Arifureta Rebellion, so we're going to be using the awakened skills for the evaluation to grasp the true potential of each character.
Let's start with Liliana, who has a max base power of 95.8 million, pretty impressive. Now let's look into her skills. Her first skill, Blast Shield, deals 350% damage to back row enemies and destroys 50% of their shield. Then gain a shield, equal to 100% of your attack. This ability is a great counter to Myru and Loss, who rely on their shields. Her second skill is Barrier Magic, and it gives her basic attack the ability to destroy 30% of the enemy's shields. Her third skill gives her 30% attack, 40% crit, and 60% crit damage, making her great for crit set. I'll go over different builds in another video. Lastly, Commander activates each time she loses 25% of her health until 0. At each interval, she increases each ally's damage and damage reduction by 6%, which would make a total of 30% by the time she is defeated. It also lasts the entire ability. This skill is the main reason you have her on your team. We're going to out her as an S-rank support. Next, let's look at you, who has a total base power of 97.8 million, one of the highest base powers in the game. What, you thought she had the highest? Keep watching. Her first skill, Overcharged Draconic Thunder, deals 326% damage to 3 random enemies and inflicts bleed, dealing 90% damage per turn for 3 turns. Then boosts her own attack by 20% for 3 turns. Her second skill, Heavenly Calamity, grants her basic attack bleed, which targets 3 enemies randomly, dealing 25% damage for the next 4 turns. Also, whenever she is attacked, she gains 6% attack for 2 turns. Third is Vampire, which grants 30% attack, bleed immunity, damage to bleeding enemies, plus 50%. Great for her previous abilities. Also for each defeated ally, she gains 30% attack, 15% crit, 30% crit damage until the battle ends. Her last ability is Unspoken Magic, where her health drops below 50% for the first time, which is almost always going to happen on the first turn. She gains 100 speed, insane attack, defense, and speed boost to 150%. Then she recovers 50% of the damage dealt as health until the battle ends. This will almost always heal her fully. She's a true one-person army, so she's going in the rank of S. However, I believe there are a few good counters to her, especially from other fully awakened characters. I'll go into more details on U counters in an upcoming video.
Next, we have Ma'ari with a base max of 92 million. Her first skill is Dark Firmament, which deals 27.6% damage to 3 random enemies with a 34% chance to silence them and reduce their attack by 20% for 2 turns. Then all allies get a 6% damage increase until the end of the battle, and this can stack up to 1000%. Her next skill heals her equal to 230% of the damage dealt when attacking and inflicts burn, dealing 50% damage each turn for 2 turns. This ability makes her incredibly difficult to defeat. Her passive skill then grants for press 25%, attack 25%, crit 20%. Then at the start of battle, all allies gain 10% damage with thirst until the end of the battle. Her last skill increases all allies' damage by 10% with each basic attack she does, stacking with her other ability that gives 6% as well as another 10% damage reduction. She is a great tank and also hits like a truck, especially the longer the fight goes on. This one is tough, but I'm going to say she is A rank. Alright, we have Kakori with a max base power of 88 million. Her first skill, Seal, deals 160% damage to all enemies. Then 20% of her health is damage to the highest attack, but removes their debuffs. I know what you're thinking, but this ability could actually save your DPS. She then blocks the next debuff that would happen, and heals 300% attack as health every turn for 3 turns. Great healing, and she can out-heal most burns and bleeds. Her second skill grants 20% guard and CC resist, 40% attack, and plus 50% damage to poison enemies. If she guards, she poisons the enemy, dealing 200% damage each turn for 2 turns. Her third skill is Faith, and what it does is after each basic attack, she distributes healing equal to 500% of attack to the 3 allies with the lowest health. Additionally, it adds 10% breach resistance for 2 turns. Her last skill is a real blessing, increasing her healing by 30%, granting poison immunity. And at the end of each turn, dealing damage equal to 80% of allies' total healing to poison enemies. Remember, she heals 3 allies each turn for multiple turns with 2 different abilities. This could make for some serious damage from an otherwise support character, S rank. Okay, here is Latelis with a max base power of 91 million. Her first skill deals Toonie 90% damage to the 3 slowest enemies and reduces their speed by 64, delaying their skills. She then poisons them, dealing 100% damage for 3 turns. Her next skill targets the enemy with the lowest health and reduces their defense by 50% damage reduction and crit resist by 30% for 2 turns.
And ensuring you'll finish the job. Her passive skill grants 20% attack and health and 100% accuracy at the start of battle. She reduces the enemy with the highest speed by 50%. If you remember her first ability, that means only 1 enemy escapes being slow. And with this skill, when she is defeated, she reduces all enemy speed by 100, so actually no one escapes. Crit and breach minus 50% for 3 turns of poison for 120% damage for the next 4 turns.
I assign her B rank.
Let's check out Teo. With a huge base power of 100 million, her first skill deals AoE damage equal to 1200% of your attack. Yup, 1200%. Perhaps the highest damage skill in the game. Then she burns all enemies, dealing 100% of damage for 3 turns. Her second skill grants her basic attack a 50% chance to burn. Then if she does, all stacks of burn get instantly activated. Her crit and crit damage increases by 20% for 3 turns as well. Her masochist skill gives her 25% attack, 15% defense and damage to burned enemies, plus 45% burn immunity. At the start of the battle, she inflicts burn on all enemies for 2 turns, which is crazy for just starting the battle. Her Dragon's Legacy skill gives her 6% attack each time an enemy is burned, and heals by 6% of her health when they lose their burn. This works really well with her previous skills and other burn type allies. Fully awakened, Teo is definitely S rank. Speaking of burn type allies, her is lost with 94 million base power. His main skill deals 300% damage to the enemy with the highest health and inflict fixed damage equal to 15% of losses max health. Then he burns them for 8% of his max health for 2 turns. So you want to give him as much health as possible. His soul extraction skill gives his basic attack burn equal to 8% of his max health for 2 turns. His passive skill increases his health by 45%, and we know he needs it. Then he gets skill damage reduction plus 20%, which is unaffected by enemies who reduce damage reduction. By the way, his ancient spirit magic makes it so each time he receives continuous damage like burn, bleed, or poison, he gains a shield equal to 10% of his max health, and this is stackable. This is another tough one, but I'm gonna give him A rank. Alright, here is Nice with 99 million base power, so close to 100 million. His main skill deals 88% damage to 3 random enemies, and then deals fixed damage equal to 15% of their max health and reduces their healing by 30% for 3 turns. This could be bad news for you and Milady. His quick strike skill makes so whenever he guards, he reduces 3 random enemies attack by 15% and burns them for 60% damage for 3 turns. His passive gives him 20% health, 15% crit resist, breach resist, and skill damage reduction. His guard then increases by 30%. Nice, his ancient spatial magic gives him the ability to remove his own debuffs after he guards 3 times. Then he heals 15% health and deals 15% of the enemies max health and reduces healing by 8%. We're going to Naze and S rank due to his high stats and dealing 15% of the enemies max health in addition to his regular attack puts the enemy on a timer.
Next is Remia with a base power of 88 million. Her main skill deals 1% damage to all enemies. For each ally there's a 50% chance to remove all debuffs and heal passive skill, pepper spray, makes it so when you walk up to her on the street. Wait, I mean when her health drops below 80% for the first time in battle. Remove all debuffs and increase damage reduction by 50% for 5 turns. That means you only take half damage. Her passive skill grants 30% hurt and breach resist, and 30% attack and DC resist, all in at 50%. Her revenge upper set skill makes her basic attack heal the 2 allies with the lowest health by 10% and removes all debuffs. Alright, here is Aiko with a mass of her 100 million base power, likely due to her high stats. Her main skill deals 250% damage to all enemies and increases attack by 30% for 3 turns. Her passive grants her 60% to targets with freeze, stun, silence, burn, poison, or bleed status, making her an option on any team. Her goddess of agriculture skill gives her 25% attack, 25% health, Hansa, 100 speed, 100% God and freeze resist, 900%. She's never getting frozen, sorry Mayo. Her chemical regen skill makes a freeze attack have a 20% chance to inflict any debuff in the game. I'm gonna put her ever A rank. She's strong but relies on a healer.
Hey, it's Mayu, and she has a base power of 91 million. Her main skill deals 240% damage to all enemies and has a 40% chance to inflict freeze for 2 turns. Her passive snowball fights gives her a 25% chance to freeze any attacker and reduce their damage reduction by 10% for 2 turns. Her water shield skill increases her attack by 35% and damage to frozen enemies plus 70%. Each time an enemy is frozen, she deals 200% extra damage and recovers 65% of that damage as health. Her cuteness is justice, and that means when she takes fatal damage, she becomes an ice statue with 99% chance to freeze all enemies for 2 turns.
The ice statue doesn't take damage. Instead, it needs to be hit 10 times.
If she survives 5 turns, she is revived with 10% health and heals all allies by 400% of her attack. Pretty sweet deal. As a support, she is S rank. Time for Bunny Girl Shay with a max base power of 86 million. Her main skill, Bunny Blitz, does 250% damage to 3 random enemies. But for each debuff that she gets plus 100% extra damage. This could be huge. Her passive grants her basic attack continuous damage of 30% for 3 turns. Bug Rabbit grants 30% attack, 20%
Health, 40% guard and accuracy. Her final skill is huge sight, so she knows this video is coming out. But in addition to that, she deals fixed damage equal to 10% of the enemy's max health and heals 45% of that is health. In the right situation, she can S rank, but I don't think she has enough consistency outside of boss battles. So we're gonna have to put up Bunny Girl at A rank.
Our swordsman Shizuku is next with a base power of 94 million. Her main skill deals 450% damage to the enemy with the highest attack, and each time the skill is used, the damage is increased by 120%. She's a Titan Slayer. If it defeats an enemy, it triggers the skill again. You could potentially win in 1 turn. Her passive Vanguard makes her basic attack heal her for 200% of her attack. Now she has self-healing. But wait, there's more. If she defeats an enemy with her basic attack, then performs another basic attack, her Kendo skill grants plus 30%, attack, health plus 10%, defense plus 15%, and CC resist by 15%. Crit and crit damage is increased by 20%. At the start of battle, her attack is increased by 80% until the end of the battle. Yes, you heard that right. When she defeats an enemy, she gains 20% attack for 3 turns. The potato is crazy. She's S rank for sure. Okay, let's look at Myru with a base power of 93 million. Her main skill deals 300% damage to 3 random enemies. Generate a shield for all allies equal to 25% of Miru's max HP. Her next skill makes her basic attack reduce the enemy's speed by 20% and has a 50% to freeze. Her Prank Spirit grants her plus 30% health, 20% attack, 50% guard, and at the start of the battle grants a shield to all allies equal to 30% of Miru's max health. Her next
max skill grants her 10 speed anytime an ally loses their shield, and she gains a shield equal to 5% of their max HP. I'm gonna put Miru in B rank since there's ways to remove shields before damage is applied, and her shields is really all she has. Vandra with 93 million base power, his main skill deals 230% damage to all enemies and inflicts bleed for 3 turns. He has 23% to freeze and stun for 2 turns each. His Turtle's Blessing makes his basic attack reduce enemies' attack by 20% and increases his by 20% for 3 turns. His passive grants plus 15% attack, 20% health and accuracy and speed 40. As well, if Eiko is on the team and alive, Vandra will survive fatal damage with 1 HP. This could be enough to turn the tides if you get lucky. His ancient magic makes it so every time you stun an enemy, you heal by 200% of attack and get 14% attack for 3 turns. Each time he freezes an enemy, he gains 20 speed and gets 14% attack for 3 turns as well. There's potential for sure, but I have to put him in A rank. Here's Oscar with 90 million power. His main skill deals 200% damage to all enemies and health himself. 65% of that damage reduces all their defense by 10% too. For 3 turns, trap skill is whenever an ally uses a skill, he gets 20% skill damage and 10% breach. Stackable, his final skill is at the end of each turn. He gets 20% attack and breach, re-west plus 10% until the end of battle. Also stackable. I'm not seeing anything with the wow factor, so Oscar is gonna have to be in B rank. Alright guys, that is every ultra rare is Arifureta Rebellion Soul. I enjoyed making this, so I hope you like it. Show support with a like and subscribe and comment your thoughts. Don Boss, out.